So we're going to take a little bit of a different spin. What you see, we've been sort of going back and forth between a municipal perspective and then a community perspective where you can see both sides. But there's a lot that happens on our streets that has nothing to do with the bike lane, that has nothing to do with the bus, but that creates sort of the vibrant ecosystem that breaks down those invisible barriers. And I heard about Tran's great work, and we did at Livable Streets, and we thought we need to highlight this for our community because her work is maybe different day to day than what many of us do, but it reflects the kind of Metro Boston that we all want. So welcome.
So my name is Ngoc Tran Vu, and my presentation is on socially engaged art, and I'll be talking about the power of art for social justice and equity. I wanted to start off by talking about my background because it really informs both my work and also my practice as an artist and organizer. I identify as a 1.5 Vietnamese American, and I came to the U.S. with my family when I was 4 as political refugees. And we grew up in working class Dorchester and South Boston. And this is really important because my work right now is embedded in my community and the people there. And also the waves of Vietnamese refugees in the U.S., starting in the 70s, and how we came to be in the Dorchester area, keeping in mind the background of immigrants and refugees who are there. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I believe everyone is an artist, is whether or not we choose to use our creativity. And art is a human right. And I think that when it comes to art and culture, that is really the root and heart of how we engage as humans. So when our stories, our narratives are not told, what happens? And particularly where we live right now in a society in a very divisive time. So what is socially engaged art? Essentially, it's creative projects designed to engage, disrupt, or challenge the status quo, particularly in our society today. Socially engaged art is also a form of community organizing, rooted in collaboration and network. So whenever we talk about collaboration and community, we're essentially talking about social engagement and how we connect with the people that we work with and also our communities. Socially engaged art also has the power to express, to heal, to build and envision. And especially the role of the artist and also creativity is to envision the alternative and the possibility to our society and our culture. So really this is the heart of social engagement. So I wanted to share 2 examples of my art practice. Most recently is the Community in Action, a mural for the Vietnamese people that was unveiled on October 1st in Fields Corner. I invite you all to come visit. It's a permanent mural, and we collaborated with the Pho Hoa Vietnamese restaurant to really be embedded in the community. And the project was tremendously successful because it involved community collaboration. So I was able to recruit a group of young artists, myself included, and also a steering committee made up of local residents. It was literally a form of community organizing because I went door to door, I knocked on people's door, got to know my neighbors, let them know that this project is happening right down their street, and to really bring people into the process and make it very transparent as much as possible, to include materials that's in different languages, rooted in the community, and really to involve people in the process. And all of this was done, people volunteered their time. It was really tremendous, and it really was so heartwarming because people cared so much about the project. They wanted to activate the neighborhood. They saw a need for more art and for more engagement. I also wanted to mention that the project was from the New England Foundation for the Arts Creative City. And so these are example of art project that's really rooted in community and that is accessible so that people can participate. So we met for months at a time. I met weekly with the young artists, with the steering committee members, and we really made this so that people can really participate, and that is really from the ground up and from the people themselves. And so we also begin to make a digital collection too, so whenever people come by and visit, they can use the hashtag #VietStoriesMural and also .community, so that both highlights it, and make it accessible for the community and also visitors to come by. Another project that's ongoing right now is the Dorchester Not for Sale, which is a group of engaged residents who's worry about all the development and gentrification that's going on in Dorchester and really throughout the city. So this past week we had our first public action where we disrupted a BPDA meeting, and we were able to organize residents together intergenerationally, folks who spoke different languages, the Vietnamese community, the Cape Verdean, Latino working class, and we really, we were demanding development without displacement. We wanted to have a real community process with real decision-making power and to be at the table. And we made this process inclusive, accessible. We outreached to people. We provided transportation. We provided meals. We made sure to let people know what was going on, and to let this process be as accessible as possible. So the picture on the left is of the action that that went on. We started speaking in different languages. We had our own interpretation, and on the right was kind of a parallel process that we've been meeting since the summer, just to let people know all this development that's going on. So what is all of this, like in terms of, using the art as a platform for social engagement? How does it fit into other types of, community engagement? And these are some guiding questions that I find to be very helpful, especially when thinking about projects that I'm engaging in. So what are the intention of the projects? What is, the goal? What is the objective? Who is this for? And who's really behind it in terms of funding, in terms of decision-making power, who's really at that, and what are the narratives that's being shared, what is being uplifted and reversed, what's not, who's really at the table, at the decision-making table. If you look at the at the meetings you're at, you can pretty tell right away who are the people that are there, and really who's not and who should be there. Are the people who are most impacted? Do they have a voice? Do they have a real voice? And how can this be more an inclusive and accessible process? And don't kid yourself. You really have to answer these questions for real, and not just to feel like you're checking off a checkbox, but really, is this a really true process? And then lastly, are we healing ourselves and one another through this process? Because really that is the root of a lot of things that we're engaging in, is to unite people, to bring people closer together, to really build a better world for ourselves. So I wanted to end this with a proverb, African proverb, that really talks to the heart of narrative and really who's in control. If the lion does not tell his story, the hunter will. Thank you.